Hey, good afternoon everybody. We're here in Christchurch, sunny Christchurch today, and I'm here with Quinton Hall, CE of Ngāi Tahu Tourism. Tourism, one of our fastest growing areas of productivity for New Zealand, and also adventure tourism and tourism in general being one of our areas of growing health and safety risk.
Oh, kia ora, Nicole. Thanks for coming to visit us. It's really great to have you here. So Ngāi Tahu Tourism is a group of tourism operations that spans New Zealand. We are from north up in Rotorua with Agrodome and Rainbow Springs, Huka Falls and Taupo with Huka Falls Jet, and then down through the South Island with a number of operations including Franz Josef, where we have Franz Josef Glacier Guides, hot pools, down into Fiordland with our Hollyford Track business. We have a helicopter business, Glacier Southern Lakes in Queenstown, a number of jet boat businesses down south, including Dart River Adventures and Shotover Jet, as well as some walking businesses, and then up to Takapo, where we have Earth and Sky, which is our stargazing experience. And soon to come is our new experience up in Auckland, which we're developing with New Zealand Rugby, which is our All Blacks experience, and that's really exciting for us.
Manakitanga, Quinton, care for people. What does that look like for Ngāi Tahu Tourism?
It's a really good question, Nicole. So one of the core things that we have at Ngāi Tahu Tourism is our values, right? And that's really important for us because our values are Ngāi Tahu's values. And probably the key values that we live by, because of what we do, is manakitanga and rangatiratanga in terms of how we look after our manahiri or our visitors. So manakitanga is really core and fundamental to how we do business. Looking after our customers. As you said, we have about 500 at any given point in time with our team, and those 500 in our team, they look after over 1 million customers. So that's a lot of moving parts for a business. So that core value and core understanding of manakitanga, or looking after people, caring for people, is a real key component to how we sort of build up our safety culture within Ngāi Tahu Tourism. And that goes right to the heart of the type of people we have, how we recruit them, and then how we put them in front of our customers and look after our customers.
Yeah, so the manakitanga, or care for people, being heart of the business, so what does that look like in bringing that to life?
So that's a really good point. I mean, our people are the most important assets that we have. One of our other values is whanaungatanga, or family. We refer to our people as te whānau tāpoi, or tourism family, and that's how we like to treat each other. It is a challenge having a lot of disparate and diverse organisations within an organisation that are geographically spread. Getting consistency with our people is really important, and we've worked really hard about making sure that not only are we in a place working in a particular business like Shotover Jet or Huka Falls, but we're part of one whānau, so we're part of te whānau tāpoi. One of the things we do in terms of connecting with our people is we gift a taonga pounamu, or a tuki, to each of our people. So it's a really important part about that. So everyone that starts with us, we have what we call a mihi whakato, where we welcome our new whānau to the wider family, and then we gift them a piece of taonga pounamu. The cool thing about that is it connects us as one whānau across all of our organisations. So we now know that we're connected there. We have a sense of whānau in terms of, we have a sense of belonging to the wider Ngāi Tahu whānau. And the really nice thing I like about this is all of our pounamu is cut from one kohatu, or one stone. So one stone for one family. That is a really great way to connect our people together to start with. Then we work on how do we get the other consistency in terms of our safety processes. We have a number of ways we do that. So first of all, consistency in our messaging. So my newsletter that goes out always has a safety message. Other than that, all our business plans have a consistent safety plan, and then all of our performance agreements have a consistent message in terms of safety. All of our meetings start with a conversation around health and safety. That's consistent. All of my general managers have a quarterly goal of having conversations every quarter with our people and observations. All of the board all have a process of maintaining those conversations in connection with our people. We again maintain that consistency across the entire organisation.
So often when people talk about health and safety, they talk about compliance and they talk about paperwork and they talk about systems. What was really interesting about what you raised there is the system isn't about paperwork. The system is about having a structured way of incorporating conversations and regularity of discussion around health and safety issues, and everybody sharing ownership of health and safety issues. And I think that's a really good example of best practice. You're actually bringing it to life in a way that's meaningful for your business. So we were talking offline before we started here, and we were talking about when you're caring for customers, how sometimes your personal safety sort of takes secondary to the care for the customer. And also overlay, you've got customers in your case that are looking for an extreme experience or excitement, or might actually be doing something that looks or feels unsafe for them or has a bit of risk associated with it. So how do you in your business manage the customer desire for, I'm going to go for a risk and I'm really going to take some risk and my life's going to be on the edge, and managing, the safety of your staff, your health and safety in your workplace, your business reputation, and keeping customers safe as well.
So just one point there, Nicole. No one's life's on the edge. It's all very safe, and we take a great deal of pride in the work that we do. So we have a whole lot of systems in place around recruiting the right people, around training. And my view is if we've got a lot of moving parts, we've got a lot of moving things. We've got jet boats, we've got aircraft, we have coaches, we have tractors, we have trailers, we have all these things that we move our customers around on, and and maintaining that to the very highest level is really important to us. We have a strong maintenance program across all of those things, really key and important. I think the second part about that is having our people really well trained. So making sure that the people that we have in those positions are the best that they can be. So that means that they are well, they've got the highest level of training that they can have, and they are delivering that experience really safely. And the last component for that is not taking risks. And everything we build in terms of our systems and processes, so conversation is really important, but there's a whole lot of systems and processes that sit in behind that are really important and are a significant part of the work that we do in that space, and builds up a big piece of that. So making sure all those systems and everything are in place, and then making sure that we're delivering that safe experience is core and fundamental. And we also talked earlier about how we recruit some of those people. Our jet boat drivers, we've done some research into what makes a good jet boat driver, and one of the critical components for jet boat drivers, and as it turns out for pilots and airline pilots and everything else, is spatial awareness. So now when we're hiring, we test our people for spatial awareness and how good they are in that space. And that's because we know that they're going to be better jet boat drivers. We know they're going to be good at what they do. So that's the first of core and fundamental. Then we need to make sure they're going to be part of our whānau. We need to make sure that they're going to live our values, and that's all part of that. And my view is hiring is probably one of the is one of the hardest things to get right, but it's probably one of the things that we should invest the most time in, because it's getting the right people into our family is really important.
And you've got, imagine quite a flexible workforce where people come in and go out. So how long do you invest in training new people, or when you've got a casual workforce coming in and out, how do you bring those people in and take them through that process?
So I guess it depends on the role. We've got quite a diverse workforce and quite a few different roles. So as an example, one of our glacier guides has quite a long process in terms of learning how to guide on the ice, how to do that safely, how to use ropes, how to do all of that sort of work. So that's quite a long lead time. Our jet boat drivers, as an example, they're required under as a requirement to have 50 hours of training. At the very minimum, that we do at least twice that before they take a customer on a boat. And that's and we've got our own internal programs that go above and beyond the minimum requirements to make sure that we're comfortable that that we are showing that manaaki to our manuhiri.
People coming into your business think that they're taking risks, right?
Yeah.
So there's a really interesting paradigm in New Zealand where culturally we seem to conflate negatively the management of health and safety and the stifling of innovation and innovation and risk taking. So if I do this health and safety stuff, it will stop me from being risk taking. What I really liked about your comment before is that you're actually, as a business, saying that's not true. What you're actually doing is letting them have the experience of risk, but de-risking that experience.
Well, there's a couple of things here for me. One is our vision is all about being the best, but when you break it down, it's actually about never being the best. It's about always striving to be better than what we are today. And the way I like to talk to our team is, if we think we're the best at anything, then we're in trouble. So we're either setting a low benchmark or we're not aiming high enough. And how we talk about our health and safety is never resting. We need to keep moving. So it's not okay to hurt anyone. We've got 1 million customers. There's a lot of moving things. People will stumble and trip, or do when they're walking. But that's not okay. We've got to look at every single component, every single source of harm, and take it out of our business. And I've seen some of the work that WorkSafe have been doing about those conversations and speaking up, and those are the sorts of things we have to encourage our people to do, because it's so important. It's not okay as senior members of the organisation or managers or people leaders within an organisation to allow our people to be hurt.
If you were to give a gem to people about the value proposition of doing health and safety well, or the aspects that are important to your business really, really well, what would that gem be?
From a iwi perspective, from Ngāi Tahu perspective, we're an intergenerational organisation. We're not thinking about next year, we're not thinking about 5 years, we're talking about our children and our children's children. And one of the things that I think has been really interesting recently is that conversation about sustainability. So sustainability of our planet, I think, and hearing our kids talk about recycling and about the planet and about what we're going to do, what are we doing, and seeing our young people come into our workforce and actively ask us about what are we doing to ensure that we've got a planet for the next generation is really, really exciting for me. What we need to do is start to elevate those other conversations about safety and make sure that our kids are having those conversations and they're coming into the workforce with an expectation that things will be safe. In every one of our organisations we have a mock incident. We have at least 3 mock incidents a year, and this is about training. This is about working really hard to make sure that if we do have an incident, we know what to do, and it's second nature. At least one of those has to be a full event. So it has to be a full incident practice. And we go to the level where we have the fire service, the ambulance service. We have to put up signs, so realistic, we have to put up signs to say, this is a practice run. Please don't call the press, we're okay. But those events bring it home to me when we practice and we do have a significant incident. It makes me feel sick, and I don't want to have to do that in person. I liken it to the sports team, right? They go out and they practice all week and they play one game. We play games every day. Where's our training? And that's because these things don't happen all the time, but they do happen.
And very, very important for any high-risk businesses. So forestry, agriculture, even construction, which is not as high a risk as the other two, and adventure tourism would also be up there in that category. They should all be practicing what happens when it goes wrong. So that's a really good example.
Right.
If you were to look back in 3 or 4 years' time and say, what is the progress that you want in New Zealand around health and safety? For this country, what would it look like?
What would be great is if all of our businesses in Aotearoa took safety seriously, and I'm not saying people don't. I just, it's just a case of going, what could happen, and looking at those sorts of things, and how do we try and eliminate it? How do we stop these things happening? It's too often in the news that we're reading that someone's died in the workplace or someone's been badly injured. And we know that our rates are higher than what they should be in comparison to other countries. We just need to work. We just need to elevate this conversation. We need to start thinking about it differently. We need to make a difference.
Great, thank you. That's a lovely place to end. So thanks, Quinton. Amazing to be here. Very excited to see the outdoor activities, thinking I should get out there. But obviously in a safe way. Looking forward to coming back next time, which will be in a couple of months' time with our next person, to talk about sustainability in the future, which I think builds really strongly off of what we've discussed today. And thanks to Quinton and the team here in beautiful Christchurch. Have a nice day. Talk soon. See ya.